the hell is going on? What is this? Cannot read properties of undefined reading module. What? Come on. I had to remove the node modules folder for whatever reason. Let's see if this is gonna fix it. All right. Let's also reload this guy. All right, come on. Go back here. Yeah, I don't know what is this now, seriously. Cannot read properties of the file reading module. Did we mess something up last time? Let's take a look. Good day, Purple Smoke. How you doing, man? I just started, so you're right in time. I just need to check what the hell is going on. Why is this stuff not compiling properly anymore? Let's just go to never mind, this is my API. Let's go over here. Take a look, start, test, lint, prepare. Yeah. I don't get it. I don't know what we did wrong. Let's see, do we have some I've never seen this before. I have no idea what this is. Let's take a look. Never seen this before. Nice. What are you building? What a great start of the stream. Actually, let's take a look. I mean, we didn't. If we get over here, let's check our Git history. This is the only kind of thing that we did last time relative to this. So let's nuke those. Or maybe something messed it up here. Let's just try to nuke it all once more. Let's try this again. And let's get back over here. Let's see if there's something else. Nah. So that's the only thing that I can see that might have messed it up. Let's just nuke that, and then we should be able to start for today. Nice. So basically some sort of a CMS, where they can do that. Let's kind of open our linear while we wait for that stuff to be built. Let's see what we're gonna be hacking on today, on this amazing Sunday afternoon. Let's kind of close that. So yesterday, I believe we did a lot of stuff. We had like a 4-hour stream. So let's see what we're gonna do today. Let me just get ready to also run our storybook. We'll do that once this builds, hopefully once this compiles. Let's see, what are we gonna do to start today? Let me kind of do one thing here first. Yeah, let's do it like this. And then let's do the ordering manual, so we can kind of manually order this list up the way that we like. So this is what we've been doing yesterday. Block quote, implement the image upload, yeah. Good day, Sirma. How are you doing, my man? Good. I'm just starting, and my project didn't want to compile the front end, so I just nuked all the whole node modules folder. So kind of reinstalling stuff again, and in the meanwhile, while I'm waiting for that, just figuring out what we want to do today. So just going through this list here, things. I mean, this is a simple one, so we could kind of... And let me actually do one thing. Yeah, that's why I'm kind of also streaming now, because I honestly want to be with my wife and kid a bit later. Just don't wanna. I generally, I stream during working hours, in the evening, because that's the only time I can. Because I work until like 5 and then eat and then spend time with them. But now it's the weekend, so I just want to do like a few hours now, and then be done by the evening or the night, right? And let's see if this thing is gonna compile now. Hopefully it will. What a great start of the stream. But I think it should. I see no reason. I think yesterday we installed some dependencies which maybe messed some stuff up. Let's take a look. Yeah, let's take a look. And yeah, okay, yeah. So indeed, yeah. So now we're good. Let's run our storybook as well. So, and then we're good to start for today. And I'm just gonna take a look at the thing here. And yeah, I'm also streaming on YouTube. I kind of started multi-streaming, so I have to kind of pay attention now to the YouTube chat as well. Okay, so great. So let's kind of get hacking today. So let me kind of get my storybook to this screen. So basically, I believe yesterday what we did to our platform is we've been focusing on this view, this kind of single. Let's just zoom in a bit. This single tag view, right? And we kind of moved this up there, and then we focused kind of also on the top authors that I actually don't see now for whatever reason. Let's see what did we do yesterday. So let's go to our storybook here. So this was our top authors, right? Yep. And la. Let's see what's going on. Let's go to Python. All right. So yeah, we don't see them for some reason. So let's see, actually, that's quite strange. Maybe we messed something up. So let's get to our tag here. And let's take a look at the top authors, right? So this is where it is. And we say if articles data length is greater than 0, show them. Otherwise, show the empty tag. Okay. Okay. But this should kind of show them. What do we have here? Yeah, because we're missing the dot data, right? That's why, I guess, right? Let's see, I guess, or maybe not. Let's see, how are we passing those guys? Passing top authors. Okay, let's take a look. Okay. Oh yeah, I see. So that's actually good. So let's get in here. Let's kind of start hacking for today. Because my only assumption is that those guys, for whatever reason, are actually the length is 0 or something like that. Let's take a look, right? So you can see the top authors are indeed, for whatever reason, empty when we get here. So let's take a look why. And most likely, yeah, actually the reason why is that most likely we removed that effect, right? And since we remove the effect, this doesn't re-render, right? I guess. What is the objective today? I mean, let's see. I mean, let's first make sure that we round up stuff that we did yesterday, and then we're gonna find some objective, right? It's a good question. Let's kind of just round up so I can kind of set this task we started doing yesterday to done, this tag 1. So let's kind of just fix this regression that we introduced yesterday, right? And then we're gonna kind of focus on other things, right? So let's do that. So basically you can see that my top authors here are actually empty, right? So that's the kind of initial state here. And then we're setting them here. Let's make sure that we are actually setting them. So whatever, let's make sure this actually happens. So yeah, you can see kind of that we are getting an empty array. So we're not getting any. So if I actually check, so we'll maybe have to check, yeah. So it doesn't see that there are any top authors here, which is quite strange. So maybe we broke it by updating our API yesterday, right? So we should actually take a look at that now. And also there's some glitch that we introduced here. So let's go to the actual API. And what was it? It was get top authors. So let's find this fella. And this is what's not returning any. So if there's no tag, sure, include this. Let's actually just quickly search through the logs here. So yeah, you can see that we are indeed returning nothing. And actually, let's go to some other tag. That's kind of how we started now. That's purple. That's how we started now as well. So not much different. I think yeah, we kind of did something. So we can see that my query is not returning any authors, right? So that's the problem here, right? And I can see that indeed it doesn't fetch anything. So I can see that it's an empty array here. It works on my machine. Yes, exactly. Famous developer quote or sentence. Let's see that. Let's see what we do. So created ob between now and then that, including those, where ID is tag ID, right? So this is ours kind of querying by the actual junction table, right? So yeah, okay. Okay, so but let's kind of so we kind of did this yesterday, I think. So we can kind of I don't want to mark it as done. So let's try to just round up and see. So what did we change in our API yesterday? Right? So let's take a look at the Git log here. So first and foremost, we should kind of uncomment this. So we do need this now, so that's fine. We changed our faker, right? And now our faker generates a bit more random tags. Before it was generating one or two different tags. Now it's generating only one. Then we returned here which we missed. And then we had include all here, which is the only difference. And then here we're not returning only two authors, we're returning like all of them basically that are found for this tag. And then we will have to I'll have to use limit in this query with the SQLize.js and stuff, right? Yeah. Let's just quickly nuke the API once. What? Gandhi, thank you very much for the follow, man. Or for subscribing. Thank you so much, man. You appreciate it, dude. Highly. All right, so let's get back here and like yeah, it's Sunday and my brain is a bit slow, but it's fine. I don't have to be like a robot every time. It's okay. So yeah, so for whatever reason we're not now getting any, and we're actually querying by C++. Let's find some other tag just for the sake of it, maybe. But you know, in each one of those we should have an author, right? So we should have someone, right? And we don't right now. So let's see what could be wrong. So we can see that this query is not really returning based on this. If we do what we've been doing here and say all, so let's just do this. Let's see if that changes anything. Nope, it doesn't. Okay, fair enough. So the only thing that maybe we have messed ourselves with was actually changing the faker, right? So instead we had hard-coded this tag one, which specified that all articles should be under JavaScript tag, right? I believe so, at least. But still, right, it doesn't solve the issue. Okay, so it's not that. All right, so let's revert the faker and let's see what the hell did we do here in the actual controller. Let's close that. Let's close that. So over here, top authors. Just give me 5 seconds here. Alrighty, sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I was 3. I was 3 seconds late for sure. I was 3 seconds late without a doubt. Yeah. All right, so 3 seconds late. How dare you, Alex? All right, so so all of this is kind of good, right? So the only question now is, so we're searching between this date and those articles are kind of, you know what? You know what I'm thinking now, what could be very random, is that it's Sunday today, so I'm not sure how Luxon evaluates those expressions, right? Because this is such a random thing, I've never seen this, but maybe, I mean, this is actually pretty good that it happened, because there's no chance I would have written a unit test or anything for this, but you can kind of see that, I don't know, like, what does it mean, start and end of the week, right? Because in some countries, you know, start of the week is Sunday, right? So I'm not quite sure how this actually it works, but probably this is what an issue is, right? Because there's nothing else I see that we've changed. Actually, we didn't change anything. So probably, so let's see, start off, let's take a look at this Luxon stuff. So start off, date, time, unit, year, quarter, month, week, day. And then what do we have? Let's just leave that. Start of the week, but start of the week how? Let's see. Yeah, I do have like the env file and stuff. Yes. So my GCP Google Cloud Platform credentials are in this something in a file called my brain stopped now, but yeah, everything is inside of env. That's why I'm kind of not sharing like any secrets with you or whatever, right? I mean, the thing is, right, like right now, all of the stuff that you guys are seeing, I really don't have any kind of secrets that I wouldn't be able to share with you that you can abuse, right? Like I maybe have send grid key and stuff, and there may be few things, but generally, yeah, you set up stuff using env environmental files, right, for local development and stuff. But of course, all of those environmental variables are injected by your CI, by your continuous integration server, or anyhow, they're just injected. That's why you use process.env, right? And then all of those are kind of injected from there, right? And then you kind of have those, depending on where you host your stuff, you kind of inject those secrets from there. You never keep those in Git history or something like that, right? You don't want to do this, right? But anyway, I'm pretty sure the issue is this, right? For sure. Because if we kind of, I mean, let's do one crazy thing, right? This obviously is not going to make much sense, right? At all. But I'm pretty sure that this query is kind of making it fail. And now you can see we can see our little widget here, right? That we've built in the stream kind of like yesterday, right? Or that we kind of made responsive. This fella here, right? We can see kind of that it's still, this guy often gets a bit buggy. We have to, yeah. It's still kind of messed up, it seems. It's actually hard to know, but whatever. Okay, great. So we kind of found a bug, which is really good. I guess it's a bug, right? So let's kind of because yeah, I wasn't sure, like, because I want to use human readables. That's why I'm using Luxon, right? Luxon is a time date library for in this industry, right? And in the kind of Node.js JavaScript industry, and it's replacing Moment.js, right? So Moment.js is kind of deprecated, obsolete, because it was built very long ago, right? So let's kind of write that down into our thing here. So get top authors, get top authors endpoint doesn't properly I don't know, deal with dates in the query. Let's actually do this and oops. So let's do this just so it's nicer over there. Where is it? Over here. Yep. Make sure that the looks on, start, off, and end off are properly handled. It seems that currently that's not the case. All right, cool. Moment.js isn't literally deprecated, but if you actually go, actually let me show you when I say what I mean, it's deprecated, right? So if we go to Moment.js, right? And if we go to you can actually see here, there's looks on. You can see here, if I zoom in a bit, there's looks on here. That's what they're kind of advertise themselves. And if I go here to docs, you can see here it says project status, right? And it says Moment.js has been successfully used in millions of projects, la la la. However, Moment was built for previous era of JavaScript. The modern web looks much different these days. Moment has evolved somewhat over the years, la la la. Given how many projects depend, we choose to prioritize stability over the features. So essentially you can read this, but to save you some time, they're not going to be working on it anymore. They're not going to be adding new features. They're not going to be. They suggest you to use looks on, which I'm using now, because it kind of follows similar API, but it's built for modern JS, right? So this is kind of what they suggest now. So of course, if you are using Moment.js heavily in your project now, well, you're kind of stuck with it anyway. So you're probably going to continue. But if you start something new, you don't want to use it. And I can kind of elaborate in simple words why. It's because there's no way for you right now to kind of use. It hasn't been built with any module in mind. So when you install Moment.js, you're basically including the whole library, and you're importing pretty much everything. So, and that's just one of the most. Yes, I mean, if you've just started a project, definitely don't use. You have Day.js, for example. Day.js is an okay alternative to Moment, but if you ask me, so this is also pretty solid. I use this one at work, and I also use looks on, and there's really no overhead because you're importing a single function, whatever, single method, right? But this is definitely what you want to use today, right? This is the fella you want to start with today, right? And just FYI, because I can see there are a few people watching on Twitch, there are a few people watching on YouTube. If you want to watch, it's probably better to watch on Twitch, because then you can see the chat and you can participate and stuff. Because multi-streaming, I don't know. All right. So we can kind of see that that thing is an actual bug that we have in an API. This fella here. So just for the sake of UI, I'm gonna comment this out, and then once we get to that bug, probably not today, then we're gonna, I just want this to actually be shown every single time, right? All right, cool. But that's kind of what we did yesterday, right? I don't know if I like the fact that this is this big maybe, so let's kind of just, let me get to this normal size. Yeah, so let's kind of just spend a few more minutes on this and then move away from this. Then we're gonna then I'm gonna be able to say what we're gonna do next. So we go to tag header actually, right? And we also go to it in our story. Let's actually go over here. Do I actually have two browsers opened here? No, okay, never mind. So if we go to our tag header, which is here, and zoom in a bit. let's kind of reduce some sizes here, and then we should be fine to move on to other things, right? So we have an H1 here, 6XL. That obviously doesn't look good clearly. Those buttons are kind of big as well. Let's try 5. Oops. Let's try 5. What the hell was that? How do I get back from there? What the hell did I do? Okay. I have no idea what I did. Hopefully you guys can still see what I'm doing. I guess you can. Sure. Okay, great. Okay. So let's kind of just spend, again, as I said, a minute more on this. Awesome. Yeah, I just clicked some window thing here in Windows. So yeah, so let's take a look at this actually in this context. So maybe reduce the size of this, and let's see, reduce the size of that. My friend just told me that I have ads on my Twitch. And just keep in mind, guys, I have disabled all ads for those of you who are here. So you cannot disable ads. So it seems that Twitch just forces those ads because they make money off of them, apparently. Because my friend Samantha, who is working with me on this project, she just wrote to me that there's ads. Sure, man. The thing is, right? Like, if I'm going to keep the channel up or whatever, I know that few of you guys are gonna subscribe here and there, and over time that's gonna grow to some substantial number that's gonna be worth it. But I don't want ads. So, for example, if at one point, you know, one of you guys, as you guys are kind of, many of you are already doing, you realize, okay, let me sub to this channel. That's fine, right? Because for a single person, for most of the time, that means nothing. But I don't want ads. Like, if I'm ever gonna make any money on this channel, which maybe I will, maybe I'll not, whatever, that's clearly not the goal now. I would want that to be way more kind of, I would want users who are watching me to define if I provide value for them. Like, for example, I literally disable everything in my settings that has anything to do with ads. And the fact that you guys can still see them, it kind of pisses me off a bit, I must admit, right? Because there's no reason for you to see ads now. Why would you see ads? Like, I literally disabled all of that. I don't know where to look now. I don't remember, but I know that I disabled every single thing related. A good day, Agent Chronicles. How you doing, man? Good to see you here. How is everything? I don't know, man. I disabled all of that. So it seems that Twitch just wants to make money. That's pretty much what it is. That's pretty much what it is. All right. Let's kind of. Exactly. And I just wanted to make that clear. I don't have any ads enabled, right? And I will never have them. Today, with 230 of you or 10,000 one day, I'm never gonna have ads, because that goes against my beliefs generally. Programmer Network is never gonna have ads, ever. I'll rather remove the platform than have ads, literally. So my son is calling me. Yeah, so anyway, let me shut up about the ads. I just get triggered for a second for no reason, because I truly hate ads. All right, so let's take a look at this in the context of the actual platform. Yeah, he's 3 years old, so he will, but not yet, I think, go. Nah, this actually kind of sucks now, how it looks like, right? Also, those bad buttons are kind of massive as well. But let's kind of, I want to just get done with that and move on to something else. Nah. Let's kind of get it back to how it was. What was it? 6XL, right? And then item center here is necessary anyway, so we missed that regardless, right? Nah, actually that doesn't look good. Okay, so let's go to like React. Yeah, okay, let's leave it like that, right? And maybe I'm just gonna, let's actually zoom in again, zoom out again, sorry. I don't know. I guess it's okay for now, right? So let's leave it as is. Let's leave it as is. Actually, one thing that I kind of dislike here, let's fix that now. Let's go to our top authors and let's add a bit more padding to the right and stuff. You can see that a little bit of padding to the left and right would be nice. So let's get over here. Let's go over here. Let's get over here. Let's maybe say PY2 PX4. Yeah, maybe like that, a bit more space, right? Yeah, that looks better for sure. And let's go to the story and let's get rid of this timeout. So actually no, let's have a normal story. Let's create two stories, right? So let's kind of do something like this. Let's have a primary, and that's not gonna have a loader. Let's say with loading. Then from here we can get rid of this and say that is top authors loading is false. And then here we're gonna have the other one where we have the loading state, right? So when we need to just fiddle with those guys, we do this, otherwise we have this. And let's actually just so we don't leave things undone, let's also kind of export this fella as well. And then we can maybe just have that as a single entity of a story, right? So if we go over here, right, let's just have, so we have primary with loading. Let's just call this author tag. Now, how is it called there? Let's call it top author, and let's import it as well. Let's import it here, tag top author, right? And then this guy takes an author, basically. So it takes one of those guys, right? Yeah, I mean, let's just say, all right. What the hell am I doing? Let's just do it like this to be more explicit anyway. So let's just say this. And then let's get rid of those. And then let's do this. But there's actually no ID that it needs, okay, something like that, right? And then if we go actually to the story now we have a top author as a single entity here, right? So property avatar is missing, right? Okay, so let's kind of go over here, avatar. Okay, let's add some default props here. Default props, let's say avatar is null, so it doesn't complain about it, about the actual type or whatever. Okay, so now we kind of have, now we have them all laid out here. Let's actually call this one without loading state, whatever. It's hard to sometimes to name those things, right? Top authors without loading, top author with loading. Okay. Okay, then we have this thing. Let me just also fiddle with that for just 1 second. That's actually fine. So what I don't like here is I don't like the where is it? Track and tighter. I don't like this light font. It's very hard to read. Text gray, text small. Actually, it does seem that the font is normal. I think this uppercase is making it a bit, yeah. Maybe this uppercase is an overkill. I don't know. Let's take a look. So if we go actually to the platform where we can see it kind of better, and let's go to C#. Yeah, that kind of looks better, I think a bit. Yeah, for sure. Let's just try last thing and then we should move to something else. Font maybe bold. Nah, okay. Cool, all right. I think I'm happy with this where it is right now. This could be a bit bigger or whatever, but maybe different color or as well. One thing that's gonna be a bit painful before we release, right? It should, right? The thing is, right? So one thing that we haven't yet spoken about much is accessibility, right? The only downside of this current layout that we have, which most people really like, and I like it as well. The only downside of it that I can see that might be a problem is due to accessibility reasons, right? What the hell is this? The thing is right now is that, where is the scroll bar coming from? What hell? So right now, basically, you can see that there's a pretty bad contrast. Okay, so this is that, right? Okay, this is what's making, okay. So there's a pretty bad contrast right now with colors. And I know when we kind of focused, exactly, when we focus on the colors, when we run the accessibility tests against this project, I know that we're gonna get very low scores in relation to the contrast, right? 100% we will, without a doubt, right? So my idea to solve that, instead of, we'll see, I have some ideas how to solve it, because I could technically literally ask people, do you have any disabilities or whatever issues, because then I could make you could just have a toggle or something that just changes that experience slightly for you. We'll see, right? Because it's kind of, a lot of those people are in a massive minority most of the time, but we can't neglect it, right? Because that's pretty evil, right? Yeah, it's you just can't. That it just again kind of sucks, right? We can see actually that we forgot one thing. So this thing that we added yesterday, if you remember, we forgot just to add it for mobile. So we kind of want to say here, maybe with so we want to say MD with auto or something like that, right? And this is kind of strange now, a bit on desktop, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then maybe, maybe on desktop, what we could do with this top authors is slightly different than what we do on mobile, because if you remember on mobile, basically we want this kind of super cool scroll that snaps, you know, in the center as you scroll it, right? And that's pretty cool. That works well. That's what we made. But I think on desktop, yeah, on desktop, we should probably try to kind of overflow it, right? So it kind of gets a bit condensed and not scroll, right? Because this doesn't make sense on desktop, in my opinion, right? And to do that, basically, right? Try something. Yeah, so if we wrap them, right, they're gonna go into the next row. Yeah, exactly. So I don't think that it makes sense on mobile, right, to show the overflow, right? It kind of, because we should always try to, as if I resize this, right, that they, you know, you can see how horrible it looks like when you do this, right? It's kind of not really good, right? So it's kind of, yeah, right. So we could kind of contain them. We could kind of set the not the max width, just make sure that they don't yeah. And also maybe when it comes to those, right? I mean, this about that we have is also less likely to happen. We cannot show, because users are gonna, right now I wrote this kind of dummy data about those users. There's no chance that we can show about, right? Yeah, I think so, right? But the problem is that, you know, people have, you know, different names and stuff, right? So this is kind of how it could be. And then what we could do actually, so no, we don't actually need the wrap. It's opposite of what we need, right? So where is the wrap? Yeah, so we don't need the wrap, because wrap means, you know, go to the other row, whatever. But what we want them to kind of have the same width, right? And how do we do that? Flex, grow, maybe. Make all flex. Space X2, you think so? Yeah, but this is the kind of the gap, right? I meant, how do we make them to kind of, well, actually we don't want that, right? So we don't want them, because right now there's 5, right? Yeah, exactly, right. Yeah, that's the gap. No, I think this is fine. I guess what we can do is, I don't actually know. It's a tricky one, right? It's a tricky one because sometimes, you know, a tag is gonna have a single. No, the thing is, right, so you see right now this tag has 5 top authors, and let's say that we're going to be showing, so let's say that this component is going to be showing top authors for each tag, maximum up to 5. So it can be 0, it can be 1 or 5, but not more. And then we're going to eventually have a view all, kind of view rankings or something, you know, where you can click and then see the list somewhere. We're not going to be bothering with that now, because that's way too much. So if you go to, for example, Rust, maybe you're gonna have no authors there because nobody wrote an article, but then maybe you're gonna have 1 or 3, or you see this one has 3, right? No, well, that's the thing. I don't even know what I suggest, right? I don't even know what I suggest, right? Like, it's a tough one, right? Because they kind of look strange when they're different size, right? So that doesn't look really good. But also we cannot make them all the same size, because somebody might be called, you know, Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that, right? Somebody might have a very long name, or, you know, so you cannot assume that they're the length of their names, right? But also you don't want it ever to break into the next one, right? So But I guess since we're going to be allowing only up to maximum 5 here, we could maybe say that good day, Sad Right. How you doing? Good to have you here. I mean, right, but so we can always say that it's going to always be 20% of the total size, right? Because it's going to be up to 5, and 5 by 20 is 100%, right? So how can we do that now in Tailwind, right? So first time here, Sad Right, first time in the stream. Have you been watching me before? So how do we do this with Tailwind, basically? How do we say, hey, I mean, if this would actually, what if we make this a grid instead, right? Maybe that makes more sense. Sure, man, hit me up. Maybe this makes more sense if it was a grid, right? So instead of making it a flex, we make it a grid of 5 rows, right? No, it doesn't make sense to be a grid. Forget it. This should be a flex, actually. Should be a flex. 100%. 100% flex. A Tailwind flex children same size. Okay, let's just chat here for a second. Let me kind of move to the chatting here. So Sad Right basically is asking, just to answer this question. So hey, I want to learn JS, but I only know HTML and CSS basics. Should I go back and learn? Okay, so this is a really good question. And when I taught my students this exact same stack, many of them had the same thoughts, or I would get this question a lot. So let me just put it this way. So if you've been learning any other language than JavaScript or any other non-browser language, my response to you would differ. But let me tell you one thing, like there's absolutely no purpose in knowing JavaScript and not knowing HTML and CSS, because the reasoning for this is because CSS and HTML is how websites look like and feel like. JavaScript adds interaction to them, right? So when I click this, do that. When I submit this form and I press the button, send that. Talk to some server and get me some data or send some data, right? So, you know, knowing you can be the perfect JavaScript guru, whatever, but if you don't know CSS and HTML, you will not be able to make anything meaningful, because JavaScript just adds the behavior. HTML and CSS add how things look and feel like, right? So you should for sure learn those two to a specific extent before you add behavior. Because ask yourself, what would my behavior mean to the website if it looks like, you know, let me not say the word, right? So absolutely. HTML and CSS are 2 skills which you can almost find a job with. And I'm not even exaggerating. So you see, there's this massive disparity in the community where we often neglect those 2, but you cannot be a web developer or a front-end developer without knowing those 2 really well. Thank you very much for the follow, Sad Right, by the way. So absolutely 100%. Do not rush it. When I worked at Thinkful, what I would do with my students when they were learning CSS and HTML, they kind of, let me just say this. The hardest thing about programming or learning programming is knowing how to learn, right? So it's not the problem. Resources are not the problem. You can go to Udemy, you can come to my Twitch, you can go to Pluralsight, Front-End Masters. There's millions of sources from which you can learn. But the biggest issue for most people is like they don't know how to apply this, because you have this bottom up and top down approach of learning. So bottom up approach means, let me start with all of those tiny segments, and then eventually somebody's going to show me how to combine them all together. And this is a very dangerous path when you're learning, is because you're constantly asking yourself, what is this? When am I going to even use this, right? Versus the top-down approach where you say, okay, let me build a website. Say that you know nothing about web development, but you say to yourself, I want to build a website, so how do I do that? And then you start breaking the concept from there all the way down. And so when you're learning this sort of stuff, you have to find a middle ground between learning a bit of concepts, but then also building something with it, right? So my suggestion to you, if you want to learn HTML and CSS, basically go to any website in the world. Go to twitch.tv and say to yourself, okay, how do I build a landing? How do I build this? How do I build anything? I mean, this is what my students would ask me before, is like, how do I practice this? And I'm like, literally go to any website on the planet and say, okay, let me take a screenshot. So this is what I would tell them. Go take a screenshot of anything and say, okay, let me build this in HTML and CSS. I just went to MySpace for example, right? So you say, and you call this a mockup. You literally call it a mockup. And then what you do, right? You open that mockup on your screen. Hopefully, if you have multiple screens, even better. So you open it up, and then you start thinking about this. So how do you? Okay, then you start thinking. All right, so this is my mockup, right? And let me do even. So this is very important what I'm talking about. No matter your seniority level, this is very important what I'm saying. So you open a mockup and you say, okay, from the HTML and CSS perspective, how would I break this down? Okay, so I can see that there's some slider here. So this is a div. I can see a box here, this one and this one. Then there's some nav element here. And then there's some grid or flex here or whatever. There's 3 boxes next to each other, right? So, and then there's a menu here. So you start by breaking this down into the layout. So you start with divs. Ah, shit, you're watching my cam. Beautiful, beautiful, perfect, amazing, great. Jesus Christ, man. 5 minutes late to tell me that. All right, so let's start again, right? Motherfucker, let me not swear in the stream. Okay, let's try that again. So you go to any website on the planet, right? Anywhere. You find something that you like. You Facebook, MySpace, whatever, worldofwarcraft.com, whatever, right? And you take a screenshot, as I did here. So I just took a screenshot of something, and you say, all right, let me now try to build this, right? And then you kind of narrow down what that might be, right? So you open Paint or whatever, and you say, okay, I can see a box here, I can see 2 boxes here, I can see navigation here, I can see some other boxes here. Then you break that down into layout, right? So you break it down somehow. You have you define this layout with your divs, and then you start writing CSS. So you start with the layout. You don't care about how things look like. You don't care about the fonts. You don't care about the colors. You want to break this into layout. So you see, and you paint those boxes. You can paint this box into red, this one into blue, this one into purple, whatever. You just want to land somewhere where your layout looks like this. And then when you do that, you start then fiddling with each of the box separately. You say, okay, this, I need an image here. So you put an image. I need some text, right? So this is how you kind of, if you want to go back and do HTML and CSS, this is how you do it, right? By the other hand, if you're to learn coding back again, which website or course would... honestly, I think Front-End Master is probably something I would suggest to people. There's a lot of good courses there. Udemy can be good as well. I think the biggest trap for most people today when they're trying to learn programming is that there's actually too many resources. I think this overflow of information is bigger problem than lack of resources. So no matter what you pick, I think the main point that I'm trying to make here is that it's very important that you define how you learn. This is very, very important. Like how do you approach those things? For example, no matter which course you pick, no course on the planet is ever going to explain, not every single lesson is ever going to be something that you just watch and you understand. So sometimes the course that you're watching is going to explain some things really great to you, because we all think differently, and some things are not going to be explained really well. But at that point, you pause whatever the video, you go find other videos, that explain it to you in a way that's better for you, and then you come back to your course. The biggest issue that I see with people is that they start one course, then they start another, then they start another, and at this point, I mean, you have no structure and you're just lost, right? So, and also, I mean, yeah, what Sirma is saying is true, but the difference here is depending on which stage you are, because how you watch courses and how you learn changes really drastically depending on your seniority level. So if you're a complete beginner, how you learn is entirely different, right? If you're an experienced developer, then of course you skip a million things, right? So said right, pick any course pick any course. There are many platforms. I can send you links if you want. Pick any course and stick to it, and then when some video or text isn't clear enough, stop there, go to YouTube, to my stream, to whatever, get that cleared out, and then get back to the course and finish the course till the end. This is really what matters, right? Because you should kind of use the course as a path to how to get somewhere, not strictly as a single source of truth, right? Yeah, I mean, you just have to find the balance. You have to know when to stop just reading things and doing arbitrary things, and when you should start building something, right? So sooner you can get yourself to the point of asking questions, okay, I want to make this button clickable. Because, for example, let me tell you one thing. When you start learning about, say, functions in JavaScript, right? You're going to be just calling some functions arbitrarily, and you will be wondering, hey, why am I doing this? Or you're going to be looping through a list of numbers, and you're going to be asking yourself, why am I looping through a list of numbers? But sooner you get yourself to actually calling that function when you click a button, that's going to make more sense to you, right? Yeah, of course it is. Of course, college in this industry means absolutely nothing. It's meaningless, right? In most circumstances, at least in Europe. I mean, I don't know where you're from, but here in Europe, nobody really asks you about if you finished IT school or not. You have to pass the interviews, right? You have to pass the interviews. If you can pass the interviews, then nobody cares if you went to school or not, right? Literally. I don't think that anyone ever asked me about school in any job so far for 14 years of work. Don't constrain yourself to just Costa Rica, right? The world is big, right? The world is big, right? All right, I hope that makes sense, dude. So just hack on, don't watch too much stuff, don't watch my stream too much, don't watch videos too much, right? You have to do things. Technical sciences are not like, I don't know, social sciences or something. Here you have to just get your hands dirty, and you have to code way more than you watch videos. You could fall into a massive trap of just ending up watching courses, and you're gonna feel really good while you're watching. I know that when I used to work as a mentor with my students, you know everything while you're watching, but then when somebody asks you, okay, well, how come you do this now, you completely get lost. So you have to be very careful about how much you watch. 100% it is, but it really boils down to what type of person you are, and how you like to learn, right? Like some people are more visual in the context of learning, so they appreciate video material more. Some people love text, even though people who love text over video are very rare. I think for my students, when I worked as a mentor, maybe 10% or 5 or 3% would be the ones who prefer text, right? So everything's possible, of course, but it's very rare, right? Yeah, exactly, Sirma. Pretty much, exactly. Yes. All right, let me shut up now and do some work. So, So what the hell was I doing actually? Even I forgot. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to see about this, right? I mean, it seems that you've already chosen a path, right? Which is the web path, which is a good path. You have definitely made the right decision. But the path is quite clear, right? HTML and, well, not strictly. I mean, it's very rare that you learn HTML and CSS separately. And also, you never learn any of those three completely separately. So you learn HTML and CSS together, and then you learn JS with both of them. None of them operate on their own. None of those three have any meaning or usefulness without each other. So that's why all three of them, they either go together or they don't go at all, right? HTML without CSS is useless because pages would have no style. And HTML and CSS would be useless without JavaScript because they would have no behavior, right? So, yeah. Honestly, I don't know if I would look like this. It's a great diagram. It's a great one, Mr. Surma, but it can be a bit overwhelming, right? Like when a beginner looks at this, it's like reading, ancient Greek, right? I wouldn't go this far. This is not how I would teach. This is not how I would teach my students, right? Like even some of this stuff, I don't know it myself, and I've been doing this for many years, right? So this is, and this is kind of right. It's a great, don't take it wrong, it's a great link. It's good to often take a look at this, but don't. You're gonna get discouraged because there's a lot of crap in here, right? Yeah, I know free code camp. Yeah, I know. You basically, yeah, this is you don't need to take this path, right? You don't need to know how DNS works. You don't need to know about HTTP. You don't need. You will have to learn some of those things eventually, but most of those things you will not learn. So don't concern yourself with this. There's too much crap here that you don't. For sure, but for example, like ideally you will learn this, but it's gonna take you several years to learn this. It's gonna take you several years just to learn some of this here, and that's fine. That's realistic, right? So don't get discouraged, right? Be careful about that, right? All right, cool. Cool. All right, going back to this. Going back to our single source of truth here. The thing is, right, like it's absolutely, man, whenever you need help, come by. But just keep in mind, very important tip for you and anybody who is learning anything. You have to put constraints on things that you're learning. Otherwise, you're gonna get discouraged and depressed about this industry very fast. So I highly advise you to focus on HTML and CSS and absolutely nothing else. With those two things, you can build beautiful websites, beautiful layouts already, without absolutely anything else. So you don't have to know anything else. You don't need to know how internet works. Most people don't anyway. You don't need to know anything about computer networks. Most people don't know anyway. And I'm saying this as a Cisco engineer. I've been working for 4 years as a network engineer. So I'm saying this, and it's fine that people don't know it because they don't need it in reality anyway. So you don't need any. You need to know, for start, how to put some content into some boxes, and then how to style those boxes and make them all as one unit look together cool and nice, right? So focus on this, simplify it for yourself. Yes, this is linear. This is what I also use at my work, and absolutely it can. I mean, Jira is already replaced in in reality, right? Like I haven't used Jira in a decade or more, right? So this linear basically is Kanban boards for tech projects. Yeah. You don't want to, I mean, honestly, I hate Jira. I always hated it. I always will hate it. I even used HipChat. Jira a couple of years ago, they had HipChat and they had Confluence and a lot of this stuff. Confluence was okay, but it was slow. I would never go that path. I would never go Atlassian path again in my life. That's ever. Unless I'm forced to, then, well, if I don't have a choice, then I would have to go with it. But generally, never. Linear app is really great. Why is it great, you might ask? That would be the logical following question. It's great because you have cross-team collaboration. As you can see here, I've created 3 different teams, or 4. I can tag people across them. I can assign tasks from different boards to different teams. You can be blocked by a different team. You can do pretty much all you need, and it's super simple, and that's what a good tool is. It's simple and plain and easy to understand. That's what a good tool is. What a bad tool is the tool that you need a expert, Jira certified master god, just like, you know, just like with what is it called? Jesus Christ, my mind stopped. But you get what I mean, right? So this tool is dumb as hell. Take a look at it. You can see that I'm using a free plan for Programmer Network. Pretty much, you get what you get with this fella here. If I actually show you here, shit, man, I should get affiliated with those guys. I'm selling them almost as if I worked with them. You can see you get all of those integrations: GitHub, GitLab, Slack. You can see I have it enabled. So if I show you our Programmer Network Slack channel, we get notifications when things are done and stuff. You also get Sentry. I don't know if you guys are using Sentry, probably you are, but we're gonna actually have it as part of Programmer Network when we release. So you have, yeah, all of this is, as you can see here, if I go back, it says free plan, right? So this is all free. And you can see I have some boards that I'm not gonna show you guys because they're kind of private for few of us at Programmer Network, but yeah. Slack, no. Why would Slack be banned? No. Oh shit, I guess music stopped. Like, no, is music still playing? Really, Slack? Okay, I didn't know that, dude. Why did they ban it? What the hell? What? Jesus Christ, man, that's crazy. Wait, let me just find some music or whatever, because give me a second here. Give me a second here. No, I mean, I haven't heard, honestly. No, I mean, we have, I mean, one of my colleagues, Jess, she's from the UK and she would work remotely sometimes from there, and she was using Slack like recently, right? Maybe you're referring to Google, you're maybe referring to Google Analytics. Google Analytics are now being completely banned from Europe, right? I think you're referring to that. Yeah, I think you're maybe referring to Google Analytics, right? So your company, okay. Well, that I guess it's something internal in your company. Can't say much about that, right? Yeah, maybe, right. I mean, I don't know how much you know about those certificates, right? But you have SOC 2, you have a bunch of those certificates that enterprise companies need to be able to use something. So maybe, even though it's hard to believe that Slack doesn't fulfill those, but I trust you, I mean, on that. It's just very, very strange. Slack is a very serious product, right? Okay, let's kind of see what we want to do. Let's leave this for now. I need to kind of sleep a bit over this. I don't know how I want to solve this for now. On desktop, on mobile we did solve it. On desktop, I don't know how we want to solve this now, right? On mobile we did solve it last night. and it kind of gets you this super cool like snap scroll, and that's cool. I don't know how I want it to be on desktop, to be honest. So let's just leave it, because I'm not gonna spend time, coming up with things here. The stack that is built on is React in the front end and Fastify in the back end, and then it's good. Infrastructure is going to be Docker, of course, and all of that stuff. I don't know where I'm going to host it yet. There's like several kind of possibilities. I might even host it here in my. You can see like I have let me point a finger. So this is a little rack I have here, and I have like I have a cluster of Raspberry. I have a cluster of Raspberry Pis with 8 gigs of RAM and stuff. So we might even host it. I might even host it here. And then it's then Postgres as a database. It used to be Mongo, but then I switched to Postgres. Let me actually see what the hell is happening. Let's see what's happening. Actually, I haven't read that book yet, but I did download it honestly, and I've heard super good. Super good recommendations about it. To be very honest with you, I mean, let me kind of share with you my personal approach to design, right? And I'm by no means a designer, I think my only skill in design has been just working in the industry for long enough to kind of learn the patterns by others and just be able to replicate them. But I think so the reason why you probably like this design and programmer network right now is because there's almost no design. I'm basically trying to my philosophy is try to add as less as possible. Meaning, okay, you probably heard less is more and stuff, but I literally want to have only elements that are absolutely necessary and useful. That's number one. Number two, when you build something as dumb as this, then you have an opportunity to add to it as much as you want eventually. So instead of adding useless stuff up front, you just build things like this, which is just empty, and then you can add to what. So this is just all my philosophy. By no means this is the right way to do it, so please be careful when you listen to this. This is just how I think about the design. And then I'm always thinking, okay, how is all this gonna scale to other resolutions, right? And I knew that when I built this, that doing things like this and scaling them to mobile or tablet is almost natural. I almost have to do nothing, right? So if you could kind of adhere to those things in your mind, like when you're building things, and I don't care how you build them, is it mobile first or not, desktop first, it's not really that much relevant. It's like trying to gain more and do less work by just always kind of trying to make it simple, right? Once you start with absolute positioning, overflowing elements, and all of that stuff, that just becomes super painful. And you know that you're gonna suffer with that sort of stuff. For example, if we go to dev.to, which is a platform that, in a way, let's say it's gonna be a competition to Programmer Network, you can see that, in my view, 80% of things here are useless to me. So so all of those lists here in the left and right and all of this crap, I just die when I see it. Because I never in my life scrolled and looked here and like, okay, what is water cooler? Oh, water cooler, great. Let me click, right? It's like, dude, I don't care. Like, just for those of you who are new here, Programmer Network is supposed to be a platform where you're gonna sign up and write, hopefully, articles and posts and comments, whatever. But before anything, it's a platform that's supposed to enable you to aggregate anything that's of your interest. So I am, Groxy, or I am, Surma, and I am interested in this and this. And then when you come to your feed, you only see that. You see the people that you follow, and you see the articles from the categories that you care about, and that's it. If you want to see more, so instead of building a platform that's implicit in a sense of I or the platform assuming what you might want, the platform is not going to assume anything. You're going to come there, and hopefully when you come to a network for programmers, you're a programmer of some kind. So I don't have to assume. I don't want to show you C++ if you are, I don't know, Haskell developer or whatever. So I'm trying to build something entirely reversed from those existing platforms, which try to bombard you with too much stuff. That's why I think that this minimal UI is going to accomplish that in a way as well, because I literally want myself one day, hopefully, if anyone ends up using this and writing, I want to open this in the morning and be like, all right, cool. I want to read about JavaScript today. Poof, I click on my thing. I aggregated my own feed. You know, for example, right now, actually, even though you guys haven't seen it because we haven't finalized that view, you're going to be creating your feeds. You're going to select few people that you, so for example, right now in Programmer Network, you're going to say that you want to create a feed called JS. You're going to come here, you're going to say, I don't know, my JS feed. You're going to type some description. You're going to choose few people that you want to follow from the JS that write about JS, and then you're going to choose few tags for that. Maybe you're going to choose JavaScript tag and then React. What I mean, it's a stupid name. Call it. You will probably not have a JS tag. You're going to have some feed that you describe based on who you follow, and then you're going to have your aggregated feeds, and you click and you read about that, and that's it. There's no random stuff, etc., etc. So that is the idea here, right? And if you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Facebook or any of those pretty horrible, I don't want to even mention Twitter, you are constantly haunted by things that you in most circumstances don't want, and that's why you waste your time with it as well, right? So anyway, if you didn't know why this next to this sort of stuff is because I want something absolutely minimal in every way that it can be, that it makes sense. And then when something really, hopefully as we keep building this platform together in the upcoming months and years, I hope we can add stuff that we just discussed like this, and we figure out, all right, dude, like this is really missing. This would be super cool to have. And then we build it, as opposed to, you know, let's build 15 things every month and then hopefully one of them is gonna make some sense. Because look at this, right? Look at this crap. Like, who uses this? Who comes here and scrolls, man? Golang interfaces, card with an image, integrate keylog, Kubernetes, C++ calculator, man. Why even have this, man? What is the purpose of this? Nobody ever is gonna come and, you know, read about AWS short-term if-else statement. There's no structure to this at all. Like, this is basic how to write if-else statement, and then you come here and you see bit testing functions in C, right? I mean, come on. I get triggered. All right. That's what it is, man. That's how it is, and let's see if that's gonna make any sense or not. That's just a bunch of assumptions I have with some of my friends, so let's see if any of that makes any sense, or if any of you will actually end up caring about that at all. I'm just trying to figure out what we want to do next. This is kind of what we checked yesterday. Thanks a lot, man. Let me actually see. So let me kind of show you, right? So I'll just show you basically quickly here. I'm not going to expose my chat to you guys from Slack, but you can see every time I make for example, a Slack issue, whatever, I can see it here. You can see that I connected this free linear app with my Slack, and you can kind of see here that, so basically it's everything's free. The whole stack we're using is kind of free. For now, we're paying for nothing, and it gives you a lot of, and then when you guys also subscribe, when you subscribe on the Programmer Network website, I basically get the notification here, right? So that's kind of how it works, right? Let me just take a look at this fella. No, I'm not gonna, I guess. Yeah, this is super cool. Maybe one day we're gonna look at this as well. Storybook really has grown a lot. Like you literally, when it comes to UI, it can really like change the whole structure of your company when it comes to that. It's really, it's crazy. I also use this chromatic. This was pretty cool as well. Story shots, take a code snapshot of every story automatically with Jest, right? So you can also implement Jest. This is kind of what I shared with you guys on Discord a couple of days ago, and I think we're gonna do that. All right, we're not gonna do that now, so let's put it lower on priority, tweets, feed. I'm gonna put that there. Ah, shit, this one is hard. This one is hard. This is a hard one, but I wonder if we should maybe try to fix that. Now, let me show you what the issue is. So if we go to our storybook and if we go to the editor, where's my editor story? Yeah, here. So this is a tough one, I think. Let me just zoom to oblivion so you guys can actually see. So if I insert a quote, you can see that it keeps its focus here instead of getting actually in here, right? Because you can see that's why I went for Draft.js, because I want this platform to have as many cool components as possible. But it's treating kind of this thing as a, and if I actually show you the block quote quickly, this is the component, right? So what Draft does, it sees the HTML tag and it kind of injects the focus, the cursor here. And I don't want it to do that. I want it to kind of do it here, right? So I wonder if this is something that could be fun for us to do. I wonder. Let me just take a look at it quickly, because now we're kind of narrowing down things. So maybe tomorrow, before the tomorrow stream, I'm gonna make a bit of a plan of something meaningful for us to do. But this is basically what defines how our Draft.js content from the database is rendered to the actual UI. So that's, yeah, so this is basically where our block quote is rendered inside of the editor, I think. Let me just take a look at it. Yeah. Let me just Google this once more, because just to make sure that, yeah. Yeah, this is sure. Okay. So how do we prevent, so let's try to kind of research just for a second here. Draft.js prevent, shit, how could we decompose even this question? Draft.js cursor focus. Oh, actually, let's go to the official docs. Even though, let's be careful about the docs. A few days ago, one of the viewers has helped me solve some issue, and we realized that the docs are out of date. So let's kind of define our problem here in the story. So we basically, what do we want to do? Let's kind of just for a second break this down into some meta language. Just so we, let's kind of mark this as done for now. So let's kind of move this to in progress, and let's kind of define our problem. So when a user inserts a quote component, a text focus is in a wrong place. We want want to completely neglect, prevent, focus into the kind of to the span, and always have a focus at the place where children are rendered. So basically, if we go back to our story, we basically want to neglect, we don't want to allow focus to happen here, because you can see why it's kind of messing it up, right? And of course, the reason why nothing is, there's no input happening here is because input is happening, we're calling this get text from a draft.js, which basically is inserting our text here. So how do we neglect, how do we say, hey, you know, for this component, don't do it, right? It's a hard one, I think, because it's draft. Let's take a look at the API that we're working with here. Yeah, so you see, maybe this, let me zoom in for a second. If your component contains text as provided by your content state, your custom component should compose an editor block component. This will allow the draft framework to... Yeah, this is, I don't get it. I don't get it yet, honestly. To be very frank with you, I don't. So we are using the content block, right? Let me take a look. Yeah, but this is kind of the input, right? Like, I don't think, maybe, let's see what is there, right? Yeah, you see what's the thing, right? For sure, so for sure, let me show you one thing. So for sure, I could kind of somehow get the focus to be here, right? But we have an additional problem. We don't want to allow you to ever be able to have a cursor here. So kind of, we have several issues with this one to solve, right? So you should not be able to kind of even click here, right? And you are, because in our component, just put the volume down here in my end. We have it because here in our component, let's actually go to the front. We literally have the span here, and for whatever reason, it's not figuring out that that's not where it's supposed to kind of do things, right? Yeah. I mean, the thing is, probably for somebody at Facebook who wrote this draft.js API, he's like 6 seconds, right? The thing is, it's just very undefined. Their documentation, honestly, isn't that great. And especially for those sorts of things, we need to figure out what exactly API we need, right? Because we are kind of getting this entity already. We can try, to be honest. Let's give it a shot, right? I don't think in this case it matters, right? You see, yeah, it's still kind of, it's so strange, right? Like, wait, draft.js custom component, prevent focus into empty HTML tag. I don't know. It's just like hard to compose this question, right? It's not a very specific problem, so yeah, I mean, honestly, like I know that the future, what future brings for this network is that I know that I'll have to master this drag.js, primarily because, like, for example, as I just showed you, this is just one of many components that I have on my to-do to insert, because I really want the experience to be kind of techy, and also I want the articles to look cool, right? I want those, I want this first and foremost for myself, because I literally want to build this so I can write the articles. So I'm not just thinking about some random customer out there. This is literally personal also, right? So I want to have few of those tools. For example, I want to have a comparison table. Like if I go to my existing, like, very old blog, right, and find one of my own kind of articles. Let me try to find something. So for example, you can see like this sort of table, you know, this article I wrote about C++. I would like to have something like this when I'm writing, so when I want to compare two things, you can just come somewhere to the editor and then click it and then write. So those sorts of components, I think they can be useful to, they can enrich the writing experience, right? And also for those are not kind of plain simple things, right? We will need custom components, right? For sure, right? Well, let's see. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, anyway, going back to this. All right, cool. So let me try to kind of, I mean, I guess at this point, I just need a hint. I just need a hint into the API. I know that we're not going to find the answer, and we never have to. I just need a hint on. Let's actually scroll all the way down, because this what I do when I find those old issues. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. No, this isn't. Such a silly kind of edge case, right? It's so hard to kind of, but let's try to assume based on the API. So what do we have to work with? So we have a component here that's a purely React component, right? And then we render this inside of the editor. I mean, I probably know the way to kind of fix this, right? We could make this an image. And I mean, actually, let me try one thing, right? Let's go to, what is it called? Styled icons, right? Let's try one thing, right? Even though I'm not going to be super happy, I mean, the result is going to be good. There's no question about that. That's not really the problem. It's more about, I would like to solve this for the future, so I know how to solve those sorts of things, if, and or to say, better to say, when they happen again, because they will probably happen, right? Let's say we take this icon for now. Again, let's not care much about that. So let's take this fella, as we did a million times so far. Edit, copy the SVG, optimize SVG, right? Yeah, paste it, copy the optimized version, go to our assets, source assets, images. So for those of you who've been watching me for a while, you remember that I use this SVGR library. So what I do basically, I'm just gonna call this quote SVG, and then I have a build process in my application that kind of builds this into React components, right? And if you don't know what that is, let me show you. You should know about it. It can help you a lot to create your own. So basically SVGR, in simple words, this is a library with a bunch of those clever SVG optimizations, right? So they have a CLI version. And if I go to my application here, you can see that this is how I build them. So as you can see basically there, right, what's happening is that you use MPX, so you don't have to install the dependency in your computer. And then you call the SVGR CLI, we pass it some arguments, right, to that SVGR function. And then you provide the actual destination folder where you want your SVGs to build, like React components. And then the second one, source assets images SVG, is your raw SVG. So what this does, it creates React components off of the raw SVGs, and then does all the possible optimizations on them, right? So it's really, really cool. And you're gonna see that now. So if I basically go here and go into the front end, and I say, what was it? Build SVG icons. So I say yarn build SVG icons, right? You'll notice now that it's gonna build them, and if I search for quote, you'll search that I have an icon called quote, and then you'll also notice that if I go to the index JSX, you'll see that it basically creates this kind of centralized file. So now you're gonna see if I go to my block quote, right? I can just say quote, and then you can see now this also works super well with my I import aliases and stuff. So now we have our quote component, our quote icon, and this is basically how I'm building my own custom icon library. I don't have to, as you may notice, I'm not installing any icon library. I can go to 15 websites, find different icons that I prefer. They don't have to come from the same library, and then I do this process, and as you can see, I can import any icon from my library like this, right? I mean, it is the same. I wouldn't think so, no, right? Because all of those, I mean, if we're talking practical things, you're probably well off with React icons here. There's a bunch of them, right? But if you really want to find SVG icons on flaticons.com, or, you know, there's literally thousands of those icon services out there. And if you just want to hand pick specific ones, and I don't think it's the same. And on top of that, I can only assume that those guys are also optimizing things, but I'm not sure if they are, right? But if they are optimizing and stuff, then great, right? It's just this is what works for me, because I don't want to install those external dependencies, right? I just don't feel like installing it, right? All right, so this is gonna, but again, not trying to oversell it by no means. This has just worked for me really well, and that's pretty much kinda okay. Let's go here now. Let's give it this guy a width of 10. Let me actually go to, why am I even doing this? Let's go to the block quote here, and now you can see, I think that we did solve our problem. It's just I wish that we have solved the actual thing, right? Because I think if I go to the editor now, if we go to our story, where is the story? Editor, primary, you can see kind of that it's fixed now, right? Even though the cursor, right? So we did fix it. And I mean, maybe this is good because we didn't spend much time. Actually, I thought it's gonna take a lot more, but we mainly fixed it because you can kind of see that there's only one kind of div now, because this is an image. So, right. But anyway, it's kind of solved. Let's see. Can I do this and then this? Yeah, I can. So yeah, I mean, it's solved, right? It's just I'm kind of sad that, because those are the moments, those are the circumstances that make you smarter and you learn new things, right? So I did solve this, and maybe I even solved it in the right way, because in a way, right, my quote was like an ASCII character or something, right? Or whatever, something. Now I can obviously change this icon, make this even cooler, whatever, right? It's just like I had an opportunity to learn something new, but I don't think it's a stream type of content, because I think you guys would get bored, because it would boil down to researching Google and Stack Overflow and stuff. So that's kind of one of the downsides of streaming, I guess. You have to kind of pick and choose some of those battles, because I don't think anyone is going to sit here for an hour watching me, check Stack Overflow, right? All right. Even though, let's take a look at it. Yeah, there is still something wrong with this component, I can see, and you can see that it keeps kind of sending the cursor focus to the start. I don't actually know why it does that. It's quite strange, but it does it. Will I lose my sleep over it now? Draft.js sets focus to start. Let's see if I'm gonna lose my... Yeah, this is pretty much... Oh, wow. So it seems there is something called move focus to end. But wouldn't we assume that this is kind of default behavior? I would kind of assume that this is... Yeah. And we basically do this. Right. Yeah, but this... I don't know if I want to do this now. No. All right, let's go back over here and mark this as done, because we've fixed this bug. If this turns out to be another one as we kind of go, we're gonna treat that as a different task. Got to be really, really careful how we focus on those. Nice. Okay. And then if we actually go to the platform now, right? All right. That's quite strange. Let's take a look at that. That seems completely messed up now. That is incredibly strange, yeah. Let me actually take a look at one thing. I think when we messed with toolbar, let me just make sure that we cleaned up after the task. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's also fine. Yeah, okay, cool. So painful with Draft.js. How did I... Yeah, okay. So this is kind of how I do it. So I think few optimizations we'll have to do here. No, not really, no. So we can kind of see that, yeah, I think there is a focus issue, right? Because as let me see if I can even remove them now. No, I can't. So let's see. Let me kind of just close API for now, as we're not sure if we're going to be writing it now. Yeah, so that's fine now, I think. Let's go to this fella. So this block is a content block. Get entity at 0. This is the image. Yeah, okay. Just check the API of this. So they keep mentioning this cursor behavior, right? And that's kind of what we're dealing with. So I think one of the things figuring out for me in the upcoming days is gonna, because they keep saying if your component contains text as provided by a content state, your custom component should add it to a block. This will allow your draft framework to properly maintain cursor behavior in your contents. And right now it basically doesn't, right? Right now it doesn't maintain that cursor properly. By defining this function within the context of higher order, the props of this custom may be bound to that component, allowing semantics to custom. Returning the entity from the block is admittedly a bit of an awkward API and is worth revisiting. So what can I take from here? Let's just get this and comment it out. So this is yeah. But this is kind of the media example, right? So let's see here. Let's do this. And let's do something like this. And let's see which props do we actually have access to here. Let's go maybe to the story itself. It's easier than the app. And let's click this fella. And this is the, okay, so we have, yeah, sure. So let's try to basically do this. Okay. Let's see the prototype here. Let's see which methods do we actually have anything. No, we don't have any special selection. Prevent scroll offset key, force selection, directional left to right. That's good. Decorator, multi-decorator, decorators, la la la. Custom style function, content state. So we basically have all the props that we, might need. Let's try this instead of this get text, even though it maybe, I don't know. Let's hit null. Okay. And I guess if I would highlight some text and then click it, is it gonna be different? No. Okay, let's print the data then. Whatever, RRR data. What? Ah, okay, so this is null, yeah. Block get entity yet, yeah. So I think this here is null, that's why it's failing, yeah. Block content state. No text, yeah. Yeah, so we can kind of see that it, in a way, bugs out here, right? And it's so hard to now know why. As I can see that there's no focus for sure. So we kind of render the component, but we don't really show any focus or anything. And then if I do some text, so it seems that the issue, issue seems to be that if I don't provide it any text, so if I, okay, so I think at least if we narrow down what the issue is, so if I type some text and then, so if I provided some text, it's gonna actually have a cursor. If it has no text, it's basically, it kind of gets stuck. It just renders the actual component, but the cursor is wrong. The focus of the cursor is wrong. And that's pretty much, I believe, what they said here. No, not there. Let's actually read a bit. Custom block, la la la. Strongly recommended that you use editable false. If your custom component will not contain text, it will contain, as provided by your content state. Your custom component should compose an editor block component. Editor block component. What is an editor block component? Okay. So maybe let's just try one crazy thing. Let's try this. Now let's see which props, I guess. Yeah. So I think this is probably the way forward. Where's our story? And this probably is going to explode now because I don't think it's going to find the actual children. But let's see. And where the hell is this console coming from? Let me just remove it. Yeah, over here. Okay. All right, try that again. Try this again. Doesn't really get a log of any kind. That's quite strange. Let's see. Where were we? So we're actually we didn't print anything, did we? So let's print the props here. Props. So painful, so painful. Yeah, so now we get all of it. Then if we get to this guy's example, editor block, is this basically what I'm supposed to do? Should this component have an editor in itself? Do you get what I mean? Maybe that's the way forward, right? That's maybe what they mean editor block. Because maybe this fella should basically be an editor itself, right? I think I'm slowly kind of like, let me try one crazy thing here. All right, now ignoring this clearly, right? We don't have a chain on change or whatever, right? But maybe this is the way forward, right? Because this thing has to have an editor in itself, even though it kind of did have it, right? And then it should be able to kind of do the proper focus, right? Where is this thing? Editor block. Wait a minute. Come on. Editor block draft JS. Yeah, is this maybe it? I mean, it seems, wait a minute, insert block, and what do we actually do? Yeah, that's it. I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it. So you have to use this editor block. That's it. You have to use the editor block. I think that's kind of it, right? Let's try that. Let's come over here. Let's use this fella instead of the input. Let's actually go back over here. And we're not passing the prop socket. Yep. There we go, man. There we go. Shit. Okay. That's good. Whew. Whew. Good. Good. That's it. Great. So complicated, man. So complicated. So hard. So hard. So hard because documentation is so horrible. Ah, what a relief. What a relief, man. Yeah. So essentially, if I can summarize this in my thoughts, when you have a complex, man, I'm actually incredibly happy right now. You have no idea what this means for us. Because in a nutshell now, we can provide the editor to any of our custom components now. And it's basically almost as if you're providing the whole draft.js to it. But now you can see kind of now probably I'm not even sure if this is gonna, if I can actually go, if this is gonna work now, in a sense, if we can already start writing something. Where is this? Whatever. Let's just come. Let's do this. Replace inputs. Whatever. Let's. Yeah. My tooling is kind of failing a bit. Let's save it. Yeah. I'm not sure if this is gonna work now, but that's less relevant, to be very frank with you. We'll try to write something in the editor. Doesn't matter. But that's no longer important because it's important that we kind of. It's a good point. Let's try that. That's a very good point. Let me just see. I don't think that it's gonna kind of get this text now, but let's see. It did. I mean, crazy stuff. So nice, man. So nice. I'm so actually happy now. That's really good. Really good. Again, we solved this component, sure, but that's not even important, right? It's just what's important is that now we know that you need to use this editor block, right? And I'll need to read a bit about this. Obviously, it's not that we now know everything, but that's really good because those props is gonna pass it all the necessary keys, the references and stuff to whatever, and then it's gonna know where to grab the data from and then inject it here. Let's try what you asked, right? Let's just add a random span here and say quote, right? Because technically that's what we had before, right? If we go and edit this fella, nope, still kind of messed up, right? Even though, keep in mind, we're not dealing with the focus now, so it's kind of, I think, like the issue still persists because user can still kind of click on this. Can they? Oh, actually, no, they can't. No. So it's kind of good. No, I think this solves it. Yeah, and the secret was basically the editor block. Super nice, super good, man. Actually incredibly happy now. And also, is this really actually doing something? So strange that text indigo works. Shouldn't it be fill indigo 500? Really good, man. That's pretty good. Okay. So we did kind of solve this problem. Let's actually, let's actually see what happens now if I don't type anything, do this. You can see now it does it properly, right? So if I don't type any text, now it behaves like all of those other content blocks, because think about it logically, right? If I have something like some text, I shouldn't need to mark it every time and then click H1. I can just, have nothing, click H1, and this is kind of what this content block does as well for us in our custom component. I can click it and I'm writing inside of it, right? So that's so now basically our custom component is behaving a lot like those kind of default ones. If I click bold, it's gonna write, should start that, right? Really good. Okay, perfect. Good. Where's our list? That's great. That's great. Okay. What is the time? How long have I been streaming? 2 hours. All right. Good. Any questions? Any new viewers that have anything to ask, please feel free. This stream is, half of it is about answering questions and half of it is about building this platform. So if you have anything to ask, please do so now. And if you're new, I'm basically streaming almost every night after work and other obligations. So if you're around, come by as always. And yeah, I don't know. It was pretty cool to solve this, what we just did. Well, in that case, Surma and the rest of you, it was a good lesson for sure. As always, fellas, all of you, thank you for being around. I hope you learned something new or had some fun. I certainly did. And gonna go spend some time with my wife, my kid, and then I'll see you guys tomorrow. Should be on like, or I'd say 8 or 9 p.m. And for another 3-4 hours. So as always, thank you for coming by. Have a lovely rest of the Sunday, and